Hello guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time I'm doing a review of Transformers Generations Titans Returns Highbrow, and this has got to be the best Headmaster name, Xort. My god, I love that name. It's just, it's hilarious and I love it. It's just fantastic. It's so 80s and 90s and I love it. Anyways, this guy is a futuristic helicopter with two propeller blade thingies, or whatever you want to call it. It's like the V-22 Osprey. And I think he actually looks very good. Now, Highbrow was never really my favorite out of the four. I don't know, it's just he was never that fascinating to me. I think it's because Brainstorm looks cool, and he's already a flying vehicle. You have a car, you have a tank, and then you have another flying vehicle. Just kind of seems odd. Like, why would you have two flying vehicles when you can go for something else? But honestly, this Generations figure totally changed my mind. I love this thing. This is so good. And it's funny because it remolds a lot of stuff from the Scourge figure, or actually it just reuses a lot of pieces from Scourge. It doesn't even remold them, it just reuses a lot of the parts. And you know what? For what it's worth, I think that's fine. You know, I don't know how expensive it is to make these figures anymore. So if it's just a cheaper way to do this and, you know, you get better figures out of it, then that's fine, okay? I'm alright with that. So, with that out of the way, I love the helicopter mode. The only issue that I really have is I wish the blades could stick out further because they love to hit each other. That's it's kind of fun sometimes though, but that's pretty much my only real big complaint with this alt mode. That, and you can pretty much see how he's going to transform. Like I said, this guy reuses a lot from Scourge. Actually, a lot more than I originally thought he was going to reuse. But with that out of the way, I still think he's pretty cool. Now, you see the Headmaster on the front there. He's in the cockpit, and that's pretty good. It allows you enough room for the figure, but there is one thing I will say. The top of the head is what pushes out the landing gear, so I'm not exactly sure if that means that you can swap Headmasters for the canopy and this will fully close, or if it's just this mold or certain molds. But with that out of the way, you can put the guy in the front there. He can pilot the helicopter. It is a little tricky to get this guy out, but you can do it. And that closes back up. It's got a front landing gear right here that just flips out, and then on the sides here, you can see landing gear on the guns right here. Now, it seems like a lot of people are confused as to how these plug on the bottom here. You can see this tab that sticks out right here. And you can see this octagon shape of a hole. And that will go into the octagon shape. It just fits inside that. It won't fit inside these. You would have to use the blue pegs for that. But I think that's kind of cool and actually makes use of the octagon holes. I never really understood why Hasbro really does that when they can just go for the circular ones. Maybe it's just a cool look. But with that out of the way, you can flip that down, and it has that hole right there, so you can plug that into the stands. So I think that's pretty good. And you can take off the weapons. We will show off the weapons in a sec. Sorry, my hands are in the way. And you can combine the weapons like so. And you can try to fit a Headmaster inside that, but it doesn't really want to plug into place. It always seems to pop out. So what I usually do is just rest them on that. And there you go. You have a little Headmaster inside that, and you can plug that to the side. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I don't usually leave the Headmaster inside that. If I'm going to combine it, I'm just going to plug it in like this, or just separate them. With that out of the way, I think there's not much more... What am I saying? There's not much more to say, except the one thing that pisses me off about this is the blue paint on the front there. Now, it's not that big of a deal, but there's no other bit of blue paint on this. Everything else seems to be solid blue, like it's molded in the blue plastic, and then this is painted. And this is all pearly too, so that's kind of weird. It's also a much brighter color than the rest of this. I mean, I think the eyes might be... Actually, the eyes are not the same color, so it's kind of weird. But anyways, let's go on to the transformation. So to transform this figure, it's not hard at all. Basically, what you're going to do is pop out the arms like so. Next, separate the legs, and most of the transformation for this is reused from the Scourge figure. This whole piece right here, this whole stem that connects to the waist, is all reused from the Scourge figure. In fact, you can see the piece where that would be able to rotate, but there's not enough clearance to actually rotate that, which is fine because you don't need to rotate that for the transformation. You just slide that up and everything's fine. Next, take the legs and rotate them forward, and take the heels and flip them out. Next, take the fists and flip them out, and then take the backpack and flip it all the way back. And there you have Highbrow in his robot mode. Again, very simple to transform. It's not that hard. Not really that fun though. I'm okay with it, really. I mean, it gets the job done. I'm okay with it. There's also this piece that pops out. There's no reason for it. I don't know if they were going to do a stats thing for these figures and decide to quit on that, and this is just something that they didn't really take off the figure. You can't pull that out all the way with this inside the body. You have to pull this out, and then it will rotate like so. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, you can pop that out to add, like, a little bit of detail or something. Whatever, just a difference or something added to the transformation, but that's pretty much all that is. So you can take the guns, and if you want to combine them, he can. He's got a couple of joints up here, and then he's got the rotation for the elbow, so he can hold it in like so. But again, I don't normally do that. I usually just separate the weapons and then give them these. And I usually plug them like so, or is it the other way? It doesn't really matter. Anyways, you can give them the weapons. You can also plug the weapons on the top here if you want. And then the Headmaster will plug onto the top here. Now, before we plug on the Headmaster, let's actually take a look at him. And for Xort, he kind of looks like Beachcomber, I'll be honest. I really want to call him Beachcomber, but at the same time, Xort is such an awesome name. Like, I really love that name. He's got a silver visor on the top, and I feel that's all the detail that needs to be picked out. Like, I really like that silver visor, and everything else is just fine for me. And I love the head on the back. I don't know why, it's just, that's a pretty cool head. I believe he's the only one out of the 4 that does not use a face mask. Anyways, flip down the legs, and now you can connect him to the top of the body. And there you would have a completed Highbrow. It's really hard to get this guy in. I don't know what they did to the Wave 2 pegs, but they're really tricky to plug in. And there is a completed Highbrow, and he looks very good. I like him. Now, taking out the Scourge figure. I thought that the only things that would be reused for both of these figures was gonna be the upper legs and then that stem inside the body, as well as the feet. Actually, they reuse a lot more than that. Their knees are also being reused, which, okay, that's fine, but the hands are both the same, the exact same, and I noticed something kind of odd. That there's this giant section in here, well, not giant, but there's this section right here, and it's hollowed out to plug in this lower arm section with the joint. That is all reused from the Scourge figure. All this is I don't know what I'm saying anymore. All this is reused. And then I guess the clip is also reused. But not only that, there is one more thing. The ball joint attachments to the body is the exact same from the Scourge figure. So that's actually really cool that they reuse a lot from this figure into this figure. But the cool part about that is that this figure does not feel like that figure. I know that kind of sounds like the same thing with the Sandstorm and Springer, but Sandstorm and Springer reuse a lot, and they reuse a lot from the transformation too. It just kind of feels like they are the same. I mean, they are definitely different, and that's cool, but they also still feel the same figure. These two feel like they're barely recognizable between the two, which is awesome because Highbrow feels like his own figure, and I do like that. Articulation, you know, you got a joint right here in the ball joint. You get a joint right here. You get rotation. The hand can rotate like so. You can get the propellers out of the way, but they sometimes just like to knock into the backpack. The head's on the ball joint. You get forward and back like so. You get out and in. You get rotation, and you get knee, and you also get heel. So, yeah, with that out of the way, I think there's nothing else to do but to bring out the other three guys, because I have reviewed all of the other Autobot Brother guys, whoever you want to call them. And I think if you have all the other guys, definitely get Highbrow, because he makes the whole team feel complete. Again, I was never that interested in Highbrow. I was more interested with the rest of these guys, but you know what? Highbrow really works with all of these guys. He does feel like he still stands out as just bleh, but you know what? I mean, compared to all these, but you know what? Highbrow is pretty cool. With himself, he's still good. Like, you don't need the other three. I really like Highbrow. So with that out of the way, I thank you guys for watching. There is one more thing, actually. We'll take a look at the card quickly. That's a pretty cool card. And there's his stats. So there you go. Overall, I'd recommend Highbrow. I think he's fair. I think he's good, actually. I know that some people don't like him, but I do. I really do. So with that out of the way, I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Fist bump.